Hello everyone, my name is Loco and welcome to a professional match of StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Terran versus Zerg. We're in the top right hand corner, playing with the red SCVs. We're looking inside of the main base of ByuN. And his opponent with the blue Zerg drones, he goes by the name of Rogue. Now this game, I heard that it's amazing. So we're gonna have to find out together exactly what ended up going down. I don't really know exactly what I'm supposed to expect. I just saw that the replay duration for this particular game is on the longer end of things. To the point where I'm like, I think the map mined out. Like, I don't know, 15 minutes before the ending of the game type of length. So we'll have to find out together exactly what happened between these two. Maybe it's one of those strange low eco games where, you know, they just keep being aggressive, but they don't actually mine the map particularly quickly. But generally speaking, like, I don't know, like 30+ minute games in modern StarCraft 2, very, very uncommon. So let's find out and see what happened. It's gonna be a hedge gas pool right here for Rogue, completely within the realm of ordinary. And ByuN, well, this is looking like he's just gonna go for a good old command center on the low ground. It'll likely be this SCV right over here that will get that accomplishment. So first off, it built that barracks. Now it's gonna get upgraded too. Yep, it's gonna take 5 minerals here from that mineral field, and that should line them up at 400 minerals right over here in total to be building that command center nice on time. Okay, Overlords, scouting around. Terran players from Korea have once more started mixing in these proxy barracks. And it's clear that Rogue has also been victim to them rather a couple of times, because he's looking around his side of the map to make sure that there's no barracks building. In this particular instance, though, none of that is happening. Zergs usually don't drone scout. Very uncommon in this matchup, especially. Mostly just because, well, about 2 minutes into the game is when this bad boy comes out, and you just don't really get a whole lot of value of it. Especially not when your supply depots can fly. Protoss obviously not so lucky. They will have to send out a worker scout early on, but if their pylons could levitate a little bit higher, I'm sure that they would also be skipping some of it. Either way, now Zerglings are waiting. We do not see the 5th and the 6th ling, which is kind of interesting. Ooh, okay. Missed click right there for 1 second for ByuN. He missed one of the shots on the Reaper, but nothing out of the ordinary. For a long time in this particular matchup, the Koreans would make 6 defensive Zerglings, even against a single Reaper, especially when they would go up against ByuN. Apparently, Rogue has, well, started going back to 4 Zerglings once again. I think it's kind of interesting, mostly because the European Zerg players always have stuck with 4. So they have never really gone to 6. The Koreans, though, were apparently hard stuck on doing, well, 6 Zerglings against a single Reaper from the opponent. But these days, apparently, they're confident enough in their queen control. And to be fair, the Zerg early game has been tightened up a lot. A couple of cost increases, like, for example, to the queen. Maybe you just don't have that wiggle room anymore to add in Zergling number 5 and 6 here early on. Alrighty, so third command center coming up here for ByuN inside our main base. Hellions will indeed begin. Absolute necessity when you open up with a quick third command center. And then on... Whoa! Hold up. I'm dying. Whew. Alright. On the follow-up, I'm assuming we're going to see a tech lab. There we go. Tech lab here on the barracks. Starport is gonna get that in just a moment, so we can go Hellions and then into Banshees. This is actually one of my frights, okay? If I ever get to cast like a big StarCraft tournament, one of my frights is that I will somehow, some way, I don't know, choke on my own saliva live on the broadcast. That is... This is one of the caster scares, you know? When you just suddenly forget how to... well, be a human. You're like, I'm supposed to be breathing and, you know, swallowing at the same time, right? That's how we do it. Not the case. Not a good build order. Bad strategy for IRL humaning. Anyways, Queen production is, of course, continuing in the meantime on the other side of the map, and a Liberator actually coming up for ByuN. So rather than doing the big switcheroo, we're going to go for a slightly faster Stimpec. But no Banshees. All right. Viking was already produced, mostly just to keep those Overlords pinned back. But honestly, at this point, Rogue's creep spread is already looking really solid. This section of the map is absolutely critical to goop up as quickly as possible. Come on, Brenda. Come on, Karen. Go! We got... Go! Brenda! Okay, look. Ay, ay, ay. Maybe they're hard of hearing or something, I'm not sure. But getting the creep over here in this section of the map is absolutely pivotal because a lot of the timing attacks that Terrans like to go for, siege tanks here in this choke point are really hard for the Zerg to deal with. Interestingly enough, Rogue has decided to just not creep that up super quickly here, and he's also gone for double upgrades before Lair, meaning that Baneling speed is also not likely to be done if ByuN does commit to a big timing attack. Little risky, little dangerous. Yeah, he's just gonna go straight for a 4th base here, already at the bottom of the map. Oh, that's a misplay. Liberator sieges up on top of a Spore Crawler. Admittedly, that Spore Crawler is in a bit of a weird spot, but ByuN certainly should be double-checking his units before he shift queues him in like that. A little bit painful. And honestly, so far, ByuN hasn't really achieved a whole lot. Yeah, he killed an Overlord with the Viking. And I guess he's now keeping those Zerglings pinned back, but the biggest bottleneck so far in Rogue's creep spread has been, well, his own delays here as far as activating those creep tumors once again goes, but he's got a load of queens dedicated to creeping. Yeah, so new queens were produced for each of the hatcheries. The rest of them are all in one control group, drinking tea together and accumulating energy. Still though, the attack will be heading on over in this direction. Do we have any siege tanks? Just a single one for now. Hellions up north, mostly trying to do a little bit of creep clearing here in this section of the map, and maybe they can slow down this expansion. The thing is, this is a macro hatchery that's not really meant for mining. 1-1 is just about to finish 2 here for the Zerg, and that is going to make defending way easier. A couple queens are running on over. He's hoping that maybe he can somehow, some way keep this base alive. Yeah. ByuN could have had it if he decided to commit, but he doesn't want to take the gamble. You never really know exactly how close you are to that hatch finishing up and whether or not Zerg is going to have a dozen, well, for example, transfusions ready to go immediately, and then you just end up losing all of your Hellions. Straight Infestation Pit, straight Hydra Den. Double upgrades continue, now with a missile emphasis. And interestingly enough, Rogue never made a Baneling nest. So this is pure Queen Zergling here in the early game. Huh. ByuN's saying, yo, you want to be greedy? I'll show you how to be greedy. He's already planted down a 4th command center right next to the rocks. Yep, and it looks like we're settling in for a nice little macro game. Already though, not even 8 minutes into the game, a hive has started, and a lurker den is coming up. It's actually one of those nice things. If you compare it to your own games, you see the speed at which these guys actually get their workers out and how fast they expand. I mean, a pre-8-minute hive with, you know, like 150 supply and the 4th base already done. These gamers are fast. ByuN has decided that he really wants to kill this base. So normally, right, so what is very common for Zerg is to build their 4th hatchery and then at the same time also a 5th hatchery inside of the main base, just for larva generation. So you just kind of plant it over here. This effectively is that hatch. Rogue is not really planning on mining from this base. I mean, it's a bit of a greedy positioning, but ByuN has effectively killed a macro hatchery, which looks like a big win. Ultimately, got like 350 minerals or so worth from the opponent, which is nothing to scoff at, but it's very, very easy here as Terran to overestimate the situation, because this is not really the equivalent of killing a full base. Like, you killed the hatchery, yeah, but it wasn't an important hatchery as far as the Zerg economy goes. Lurker ranged, already about a quarter of the way done. There was a drone heading on over to the bottom right, very ambitious. Another command center building here for ByuN. Zerglings now apparently do decide to commit. Planetary is not yet finished. It's going to be a bunch of dead siege tanks for sure. 1, 2, number 3 as well, I think. Yeah. Nice push there by Rogue. Oh, maybe even a 5th. Gonna be close. Nah. All right. In the meantime, ByuN was microing in the middle of the map, trying to go after another one of those bases. This one is very difficult for Rogue to defend. He does have lurkers, though. A single Viper now coming up. Seismic Spines, that will unlock additional range on those lurkers, and yeah, he can hold on to this. It'll still be a difficult expansion to mine. He's also rebuilding the base, by the way, over here on the left. Fight over here on the right. My god. Yeah, good luck with that, Marines. This is an anti-marine ball and a half. Ay, ay, ay. Good luck stimming in there, buddy. See how it goes for you. All right. That weakened siege tank from earlier, though, is gonna get sniped now by reinforcing Zerglings. At this point in the game for Rogue, Lings are basically free. It's the, well, it's really the only unit he's lost so far. 114 of them. Adrenal glands coming up. +2 missile, +3 armor. Another marine attack to that, well, macro hatchery location. At the very least now, though, Rogue has a new mineral line that he can mine from. ByuN, though, while losing a bunch of troops with every single one of these attacks, he's been building up his own command center count a ton. So we already have a new one flying on over towards that 12 o'clock position. He's already started the ghost production. He's finishing 2 more CCs inside of the main base. 3-3 is coming up. Whereas a lot of the other Korean Terrans have become allergic to using ghosts, apparently ByuN is not, well, feeling like he can skip the unit this time around. Nice attack here, though, by the Zerg player. We can yoink a couple of those siege tanks, too. Yup, there we go, that's 1. And 2. Gonna need a little bit more energy. Lurkers, in the meantime, also useful here at defending that golden mineral line from the back. Okay. Triple Evo here for Rogue. Look at Rogue, man. I feel like sometimes Rogue gets in these moods where he's feeling really good. He's just cruising. Look at the triple evolution chamber. This man is also very cleverly positioning him in such a way that he can never switch to Ultralisks, because Ultras would never fit. I think he's doing this as a sense of self-preservation, you know, because we've seen a lot of games lately where Zergs go for Ultras and then they lose because they went for Ultras. In this way, he can never go for Ultras because they would just get stuck in the main base. How nice is that? Very clever. Yeah, I think Rogue is honestly the only Zerg player at a high level at this point in time that's fond of playing late game. He does this time and time again. Now, I'm curious to see what flavor of Rogue's late game we're going to get here today, as we do have another nice little attack. ByuN needs to trade out some of these units. These are units that only cost minerals, both the Hellbats as well as the Marines, and he's replacing them with better troops. So he needs to sort of get rid of some of these. Sounds a little sad if you're a Marine, because once upon a time you were the most important unit, but right now, yeah, sorry, no longer the case. Okay, I'm curious to see if we're gonna see like the mass, say like for example, like we can do the mass Spore Crawler, mass Nidus Worm, we can do the mass Overseer. There's a whole lot of variety in Rogue's late game. For now, he hasn't really made a commitment. He is at, yeah, just 21 Overlords at this point in time. But there is certainly a chance that he's going to be adding another 20 of those in the mix when he gets the money. This is something he's been doing, and none of the other Zerg players have copied it. I'm actually a little bit surprised by it. Like, I've seen a bunch mix in, like, maybe 5 or 6. Yep. So, look, here we go. 11 Overseers on the production tab. 17 additional Overlords coming. Double Nidus network. This is wild stuff. I haven't yet seen, well, for example, Serral or Raynor or any of the other top-level contenders go for this sort of style. Yet all of them seem to be struggling in the late game against Terran quite a bit. And Rogue, I mean, I've seen some games where he goes for this crazy style, and he just makes it look easy. So the idea about the Overseers, in case you have not seen this before or maybe you haven't seen it in a while, is you drop 1 million of these changelings. And changelings basically turn into little units that they try to copy from the enemy. So in this case, they're going to turn into Marines. These are not noticeable on the minimap. So when ByuN sees these changelings running into his base, he's not going to see like a red dot. He's probably playing with his opponent in red on the minimap. Yeah. So he's not going to see a red dot on the minimap and see that these are changelings. You see on the minimap how that little guy over here is green? A bunch of them are coming over here, but as soon as they change, they're going to be, well, these are going to die, but they're going to switch into the same color as he is. And the idea behind this is that, like, okay, 1 or 2 changelings, unlikely that they're going to make it past all of the frontline defenses. But if you drop 20 changelings, the odds of one of them making it into the main base, pretty good. Especially since the Overseer energy is free. These units don't cost any supply. As a matter of fact, they grant supply, so you can make as many as you need. And if you can run 100 changelings to the other side of the map, the opponent is going to spend a lot of time trying to defend it. So it's absolutely critical for ByuN that he snipes these units down, but he can't really see which units are his and which units are, well, I guess at this point he's only got 6 Marines. Make it 5. Make it 4. Yeah, he's got a handful of Marines only, so maybe at that point... Look, we're making even more! He just made 15 more Overlords! Dude, we're gonna go 50 Overseers! Honestly, the more I think about this mass changeling style, and we haven't really gotten to the point yet, but it seems a really bad oversight by Blizzard when it comes to the game design, right? Because it's effectively a unit that you can make an infinite amount of. Most units you're bottlenecked by, but this is effectively free unit design, which has never really worked out great in any RTS game. Obviously, you do need to make sure that you pay the cost for the Overseer once, but when you get them going, they look pretty OP. Okay. ByuN, by the way, has already gone into an additional starport. Fusion Core also coming up. Initially for the Liberator ranged research, then into the Medevac energy boost. Concussive Shells is researching. So, Rogue is fully aware of the fact that this is never going to be a cost-efficient game for him. But because of this hyper-aggressive, like, mass Nidus Worm, mass Overseer style, he can force the Terran player to spend so much of their APM defending their base that he can just sneak out these expansions and take expansions that are normally considered to be the Terrans. So far, that's not the case yet, but if Rogue can mine out both the bottom right as well as the top left, he's gonna have money for days. Look, one of the changelings made it in. Double Nidus Worm inside of the main base. There's lurkers inside of it, and guess what? Now that the floodgates have been opened, the next wave of changelings that get thrown around is going to be even harder to defend. Because now he's busy trying to micro over here. Now, interestingly enough, Rogue actually didn't commit to moving any of the lurkers out. But it's very easy to be very preoccupied dealing with the worms. And then suddenly your bases are going to go down. Already a new command center, though, is taking up the position. This expansion over here is being denied, too. Yeah, it's a very creative approach by Rogue. He's been doing this now for maybe a half year. And initially, it looked a little clumsy. Now, ByuN is not really fighting this, though. So ByuN apparently is happy to just take this beating, because he believes, I think, that he can replace all of this with additional command centers. So we're already up to, 9 orbitals, 3 more CCs that haven't grown any hats on top of themselves yet, 2 planetaries, both of them over here on the high ground. He's basically saying, okay, send these units at me. Ultimately, if you make 50 Overseers, you're not going to be able to kill my army with it. If you kill my economy, I will just replace it with even more command centers. Every single time a command center dies over here, it is going to cost the Zerg player more than the cost of the planetary fortress ever was. So we're fighting fire with fire here. I honestly don't know who this benefits more. I'm inclined to say Rogue, but I don't really know if that's true, because every single one of these Overseers that loses, right, or like a Nidus Worm over here that dies, it costs resources. Both players, though, already have a mega bank. So, yeah, not bad at all. Here's the... Look at that Overseer flock. Dude, he's EMPing Overseers. He is EMPing Overseers. That's crazy. It's another thing that apparently Ghosts are good at. Double Spire was produced. Since Rogue is a StarCraft mineral millionaire, you may as well make 2 Spires, even though you don't have any flying units. Well, I guess you have Overseers, but they won't be benefiting from that very much. Maybe, though. And one thing I have seen him do, and I would love to see this. I don't know if I've ever seen the 2 combined, but Rogue, when he first started struggling against Terran late game, did these, like, wild mass Muta switches. So he forces the Zerg, or the Terran here, to go, like, mass defense. They make only Ghosts and Liberators and Siege Tanks and Planetaries and all that, and then suddenly he whips out like 50 Mutas. How do you deal with a sudden Muta switch? Maybe this is him trying to combine these 2 different playstyles into one? I'm not sure what to expect, but what we do need is 1 more Overseer. Yeah, we only have 47. So, you know, we needed 1 more. Okay. Rogue, by the way, is now taking up that base in the top right. Bottom right here is now fully operational. If these expansions are up for about 10 minutes, it'll be pretty much impossible for ByuN to take these minerals. And here we go again. Look at the change. Look at all the changelings just running in. How do you stop this? Already, Nidus Worm going up in the main base. One of the siege tanks, though, does bust it. In the meantime, he's thinking about engaging up north, but the command center count is rapidly growing. Infernal Pre-Igniter coming up, +1 air attacks. Smart servos. I mean, these are all upgrades that Terrans get when they feel rich. He emptied all of them! Look at this! All of the Overseers are empty, man! That's such a funny thing to see. Clumped up Overseers? Maybe you need to pre-spread your Overseers against Ghost EMP. That sounds like 2027 StarCraft to me, but we may be witnessing something that's a little bit ahead of the meta. 2-2, by the way, coming up for the flying units. Still not a single flying unit that can actually attack in sight. Scans going up as well. ByuN temporarily removes the fog of war here. He says fog off. Oh, okay. Never mind, guys. Forget about the flying units. He's making 13 swarm hosts now. Like, sometimes I'm 13 swarm hosts. That's what we need now. So Rogue has decided at this point that the game is no longer winnable if he keeps playing it the way that he is. The cost efficiency of the Terran traits is getting too big. So apparently the way that we want to try and deal with this is by making a switch to the most cost-efficient unit that Zerg has, and that is the Swarm Host. In the past, ByuN had a Marine Marauder medevac-based army, and he could actually attack. Now he's got a I can't die to anything type of army, but it's not really great at pushing. Now he needs to deny one of these bases. Lurker's still going around the site. The idea is that we haven't had any cost-efficient traits here for Zerg the entire game long. So right now he's about 6,000 resources behind the opponent. And that's what these Swarm Hosts are aiming to change. So every single time there's a Locust Wave available, these should deal a tremendous amount of damage. And it's going to be free damage too, right? There's not really a whole lot that Terran can do about this. Because now they don't really have an army to be attacking with. This is not an army that Terran's can effectively push the game with, although he's going to try. Like, I mean, this is the army here. This is what we're harassing. He's actually killed a good number of workers, all things considered. It's actually more effective than I thought it was going to be. Oh yeah, that's another thing you can do with Overseers. Just flop the entire screen with it. Just don't show to the opponent what's underneath. That way the ghosts can't snipe. So silly. I kind of love it, but also it's very silly. You know what? ByuN is actually getting an extreme amount of value from this. I was kind of making fun of the Ghost Medevac Hellbat army, but look, here they come back in for more. Okay, now the Medevacs are gonna get sniped though, and that means that all of these units die. It is while ByuN was busy dealing with the Locust Wave at the front that he now also lost all of those ghosts. Still though, resources lost-wise, this is in favor of Terran. How many command centers have we got at this point? We have about 15. There is certainly a point though where you want to stop making command centers because there's just not enough mineral fields to justify it on the entire map. This is obviously a very hectic game though, so I can imagine for ByuN this is not as easy to keep his head cool in, right? This is the type of game that makes Terran players rage quit, by the way. I've seen a few games from top-level Terrans that get extremely salty playing against this this type of style. Because it's the absolute worst. Like, every time you think you have the solution, Zerg does this thing where they suddenly whip out the perfect counter. And look, now that ByuN is working on dealing with the current army composition, this Swarm Host switch, Rogue is preparing for a Brute Lord switch. So now we're going into Hellbats. Now we're making some Marines again. We're trying to keep this army going, and then suddenly, bada bing, bada boom, there's a full flying squad for Zerg. Still though, it's important to keep the economy going. You can't really just let the Zerg players sit here and not worry about the eco. Look at this. Here we go again. Look at the whole flock. How in the world do you... What's even happening on the screen? The Overseers cover everything. Turns out the Overseers had a couple of Corruptors underneath. Absolute pain to deal with. There's no way, by the way, these Corruptors are gonna just remain Corruptors. I don't believe it. So all of the Lurkers are gone now. Not a single Lurker remains. I don't see any Lings either. Only 18 drones. I think Rogue may actually not be planning on mining out the whole map, but he may just be going for a sudden switch into like a near 200 army supply Zerg. I think he's preparing to make a transition here to Massive Brute Lord. ByuN is believing the same thing, so he is going for a full anti-Brute Lord counter. All of the units in the production tab right now are amazing at killing brutes. So we have Thors, we have Hellbats. With Blue Flame, they can kill the Brutelings real quick. Vikings, and then Ghosts. Changelings are just marching everywhere. Scans are going down across the board. Yeah, good luck with the Liberator harassment, dude. This is just like the Marines from earlier. Liberators, no longer useful. And guess what? After all of this is settled, guess what Rogue can do? He can go back to Lurkers. Because how in the world do you stop Lurkers with this army? It's like you're always 2 steps behind here as Terran. Well, still has a banger army and some really lovely pickup micro there. It seems like the general consensus in the StarCraft community is that Zerg is currently a little undertuned. I don't think it's much, but it does seem like Zerg late game in particular is very tricky to play right now. Rogue, though, when he is arriving in those situations, like, yo, perfect. This gives me a good opportunity to try some new stuff that nobody has ever seen before. Look at what we're witnessing here. This is a full Corruptor army. He still has not switched to Brutes. The Thors can't even make it up north because of the freaking Changelings body blocking them. Okay. Another Locust Wave flies in. It's actually really cool how Rogue is consistently doing this. He's done this several times in StarCraft history, where he figures out strategies that just seem a little bit too annoying. He's done this in the past with Mass Nidus Worm styles and Queen Marches and all the rest of it. This seems very tricky to deal with. Now, don't get me wrong. ByuN has a real legit shot at winning this game. His army, in a straight-up fight, absolutely demolishes that of Rogue. Rogue is not really ready to be fighting this. I mean, he knows where the Terran army is located because he's got Changelings following around everything, but I think he needs to get some brutes out. There's no way you can't fight this. There's no way. Yeah, I guess he wants to get rid of the Medivacs first. Changelings body blocking. He's hold positioned. He's... Alright. Dude, he got a surround on a Thor. Rogue has been playing some Warcraft 3 as well. We're adding more Swarm Hosts. What? We're going 34 Swarm Hosts? 69 Changelings? 47 Overseers? And then what? 30-something Swarm Hosts? Yeah. This is basically infinite unit galore. I thought he was going to switch to Corruptors. It doesn't make any sense to me to not switch to Corruptors when you have 23 of them. But I guess when you have no workers, it doesn't really matter. And now suddenly this game has become exceptionally scrappy. All of the bases that Terran can make use of, since his own bases over here are running low. Oh my god, that's so many locusts. They're so far from the main. So this expansion over here is now the most likely for ByuN to be aiming for, so I would love to see Zerg, yeah, take the base in the top left. This is a very slow and obnoxious Terran army to micro. It is not easy for ByuN to march around the map like he was confidently doing in the earlier stages. So denying this expansion is doable. I don't think he can do anything about the base in the far top left, though. I wouldn't be surprised if the drones are heading on over in that direction. Still, ByuN can continue mining for now. And in a straight-up fight, I mean, his army is way better. Rogue needs to be chipping away at these type of engagements, although... Oh my god. What are we looking at, man? An Overseer, Corruptor, Baneling, Swarmhost army versus Mass Ghost... Like Thor? Like, what is... It doesn't even really make any sense. And once again, the last thing remaining in these fights is these changelings that are just following ByuN around every step that he takes. ByuN may have infinite scans to disable the Fog of War, but Rogue has got vision here because he's got so many changelings. This is a much more specialized Terran army in my mind than this army here from Zerg. Rogue, though, is broke. Like, Rogue has got 7 minerals to his name. That's not a whole lot. ByuN has a whole lot more money, but also really nothing to write home about. He's got all those mules that he can drop, though, and I really do like that for him. Yep, there we go. Rain them from the skies. His income is going to get a nice boost here as soon as these minerals are going to get returned. There we go. Does he only have that many orbitals, by the way? How many orbitals do we have? No, we have 9 orbitals. He's just been scanning relentlessly, so he doesn't have that much energy. So I think ByuN just camping on this base is actually the right thing. Rogue, in the meantime, though, has now taken that base in the far top left. Those mineral fields are still a lot fresher. Another Locust Wave heads on over in this direction. Cloak is actually super useful here. Dude, he needed to spare one of his Overseers to go with this army, because those ghosts just kept everything safe and sound. Nice micro as well, though, by ByuN. What little money Rogue has, he's now spending on Banelings again. Cost efficiency-wise, I mean, the window has narrowed a little bit, right? This is actually not looking that bad anymore for the Zerg at all, considering now that ByuN has lost way more gas. Who do you think is winning this? I honestly, I'm inclined to say Rogue, because Rogue just seems to be like strategically playing chess, and ByuN is playing, you know, catch up in every department. But he's got all the things he needs, and this is a really terrifying Terran army. Very difficult to call. 33 minutes into the game, we've arrived at the final bunch of minerals. There's basically no mining anymore for ByuN, other than in the far bottom right. Rogue, though, did about half mine out at this base. The expansion in the far top left is extremely valuable. More changelings showing up, all doing that little bug on the map with the little jumpy jump. Another Locust Wave. Man, I freaking love StarCraft. It's such a good game. Seriously, man. Like, how is it that in 15 years of non-stop competition, because that's ultimately what we have, this is something just pretty much unexplored. This is the complete lore-accurate way of playing Zerg as well, right? Versus, like, the complete lore-accurate way of playing Terran. Minus maybe all the ghosts. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be a supportive unit, but in the way that the balance worked out, you really do want to have a lot of them spellcasters, but it is a very strange lore-accurate game, but very fun to see. Okay. ByuN running away again. Ling Bane commits. The Overseers, man. So if you cover the screen with Overseers, how do you know where to micro your bio units? Oh, well, you know what? Apparently you just snipe everything you can see. Can we look at the army fights there? Yeah. Rogue has been consistently higher, though, in the army size. Mostly just because he's got a handful of drones. He's only got 16, which is perfectly mine out the mineral fields here. Maybe you should consider taking the gases, though, but... Anyway. Because of that, his army supply has been much bigger. But also, of course, he's got a lot of supply caught up in swarm hosts. Now, I think this combination of units is also kind of funny, mostly because swarm hosts are widely considered to be the worst supply-effective unit that Zerg has. And Banelings are considered to be by far the most supply effective unit that Zerg has. These are really efficient for only a half supply each. ByuN has realized now, though, that this expansion is probably a thorn in his side. He needs to get that base. Oh, Banelings coming in. Banelings coming in. No detection. The Overseer is a little bit late. That's all the Banelings going down, and that's a very significant blunder by Rogue, and it may cost him his only mining base. Locust, though, chasing this down. They only have a little bit of time, but look at the auto attacks here of the Ghosts. I mean, I say that. Now suddenly the Detectors are nearby, and the Ghosts have a beautiful arc, but nowhere to run. Changelings are also joining in the fight, and how do you now know which of these units are real? Drones have run away. All of the Medivacs have been sniped by the Corruptors. Queens from the early game still around. Swarmhost, I guess, all army hotkeyed in. Hatchery in the top left-hand corner falls. That was an expensive base to kill, but also completely essential for the rest of ByuN's game plan. He's now the only one mining. I mean, not a whole lot. There's 40 minerals and 140 over here. Look at the changelings. Dude, changeling design is actually just straight up bad. Like, the fact that you can make infinite units and even grant supply with... Nobody ever anticipated at Blizzard when they designed the Overseer that somebody was gonna make hundreds of changelings in a game. Like, it was supposed to just be a unit that you make a couple off to get scouting info. But what if you make a couple hundred? Yeah. Yeah, you can just turn off the fog of war that way. It's kind of insane. He's manually targeting it, by the way. If you attack move onto the changelings, you may accidentally end up killing your own units. Wild stuff. Well, maybe though, at this stage in the game, Rogue would have liked to make like 10 Overseers less. Because he's actually broke. Both players are flat broke at this point. Bottom right, completely mined out. The final rocks on the map are the ones in the far top left. ByuN can mine it out in a matter of minutes. Rogue does not have mules, obviously, so he's not so lucky. Then again, though, the Swarm Host, every single time they are available with their Locust Wave, and every single time they throw in a wave of those units and kill something, it's value. So ByuN is on a timer. He cannot really fight against, like, 12 waves of Locust, right? Like, he needs to do something. Well, here's one. Still, though, the scans showed that this army was on its way. And he decides to back up. No reason to take risks. Okay. 4 minerals and 0 gas now for ByuN. That's it. That's all we have. Queens are putting down some new creep tumors. We're long distance mining! He's scanning the mineral fields and dropping mules using the vision. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Oh, you should lend that CC, dude. Give them at least a way to retreat the minerals, or retrieve the minerals and bring them back. Yeah, okay, take them over here, I guess. Still, it's a good bit of change. 75 minerals is a whole lot better than nothing, but here we go, changelings. Ooh, creating a very weird force field. Overseer's up above, obstructing the view. Looks to me, though, that Terran had a good fight there. What are we looking at? Yep. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. He can't land the command center over there very easily, but maybe he can bring a command center in that spot. It's not bad. I don't know if Rogue is recognizing that this is what's happening. He sees a bunch of mules here. Yeah, it's a bit weird, huh? Why would there be a bunch of random mules running across the creep? Okay. Yeah, Rogue now has realized that this apparently is the plan. He sees the CC. Very clever move there by ByuN. I think those mules just now may have spoiled it for him. If he could have just snuck the CC out here, it would have been very likely unscouted, because Rogue would only ever expect the base to be right over here. With that many Corruptors, Caustic Spray is going to get rid of everything real fast. Another Locust Wave. Apparently this is the grand retreat right now, using all of the barracks. Here we go. He's gonna try and obstruct the view some more, I guess. Maybe Rogue can try and take this base, though. I think Rogue actually... Well, he can't really. Yeah, he's mining this base out. Okay, fair enough. Oh, you know what? There's actually more money here remaining than I realized. There's like 2,000 minerals there. That's huge. Corruptors, in the meantime, together with the Queens, chipping away at whatever they can hit. Another Locust Wave will kill another planetary. I think ByuN is starting to bleed out. Yeah, ByuN effectively needs to win the game with this army. Like, ultimately, what else is his option? He doesn't have anything else. Phenomenal game here by Rogue. I don't see this Terran army obtaining the victory here for ByuN. I want to believe, but I don't see a way out. Still, I mean, yeah, I think he got a couple snipes that way. Loses a ghost, 2 ghosts. I don't think ByuN knows about this base. This is going to give Rogue all the money he needs, right? I think Rogue should play it carefully, though. Like, if he gets a little over-eager here, there's really no reason for it, but he might be feeling the stress here. Both of these players have probably been playing at like 130 beats a minute for the last 20 minutes. Blood pressure is high. Let's leave it at that. It's very easy here to mess up. But I think as somebody who can see the whole map, he should just chill. Try to make as many units here as possible. Ling Bane would be the way to go. 25 Swarm Hosts. I mean, it's way less than the 37 or 38 that he had earlier. The snipes of the Ghosts have been effective. We're still at 43 Overseers, though. And look at how incredibly obnoxious they're being. Look at him body blocking here. He's just right-clicked them onto whatever he can right-click them onto. Look at this. Following around the Ghosts, making it impossible for them to get in position and properly fight. Stutter stepping the cloaked Ghost to try and snipe as many of the Changelings and Locusts as possible. Gets a bunch of Zerglings to boot as well. Scan over here reveals a couple Banelings. Okay. Oh, those Banelings have been effective. Forcing the split with the Banelings now allowed the Locusts to get all the damage in that they needed. And ultimately, at just a single supply, but 193 available supply, at a single supply point with a single SCV remaining, ByuN decides to tap out. What a game.